Today, I'm going to share with you guys 3 of the biggest mistakes that men make in relationships with women. Whether you are dating or in a relationship, every man needs to become aware of these major pitfalls. Remember, lads, awareness alone is half the battle. So make sure you stick with me to the end so you can become fully aware of these major mistakes that the majority of men on this planet are making and start to avoid them. Hey, my name is Jasper Brown. I'm a men's relationship and intimacy coach, and I help men to heal, transform, and awaken themselves with the power of conscious masculinity. Now, in my coaching business, you would be shocked to find out how often I speak to men who just got dumped or divorced out of the blue. Here's a bit of a scary fact for you. A woman will often break up with a man in her mind long before she pulls the trigger in real life. This often happens when men are emotionally numb because we miss the signs of the woman who is getting ready to leave. So with that scary fact out of the way, let's dive into some of the biggest mistakes that men make in relationships with women. The first major mistake is trying to fix a woman's emotional problems. The inclination to solve problems is a deeply ingrained masculine desire. It's hardwired into our psyche, and throughout history, men have played the role of providers and protectors who rely on their rationality to navigate the challenges of life. This fix-it mentality has been passed down through generations, and while it's an extremely valuable trait in many situations, it can also be a bit of a double-edged sword in the arena of relationships. Women need emotional validation and empathy, a safe space where they can express themselves without feeling judged for what they feel. So when a man offers solutions instead of really listening and acknowledging his partner's feelings, it often subtly or not so subtly invalidates her emotions, and this can often leave her feeling unheard and unsupported. Men need to learn how to practice active listening, which involves giving undivided attention, validating feelings, and showing empathy, even if the emotions seem challenging to comprehend from a logical standpoint. Now, this is much easier said than done, especially when she's upset and pointing the blame at you. But what I've noticed in the practice of my own relationship is the less reactive that I become, the more that I can empathize with her, the healthier our relationship gets, and she is also able to validate what I feel as well. Now, the second major pitfall and mistake that men make is that of pushing intimacy. In relationships, men often find themselves walking on this delicate tightrope when it comes to navigating intimacy with their partners. Now, working with hundreds of men over the years, I've observed a very common misstep that creates tension, conflict, and often leads couples towards having a sexless relationship. And that is the act of pushing a woman into intimate time instead of allowing her to initiate it. For women, emotional connection often paves the way to deeper physical intimacy. She needs to feel emotionally connected, and that is crucial for her to relax into her femininity and open up erotically. So when men push for more intimacy without allowing the woman to initiate or open up in her rhythm, it can create feelings of pressure, which leads to a sense of disconnection rather than the desired closeness. So what I often advise my clients to do is adopt an attitude of wanting her but not needing her, and being moderately detached altogether from sex as you pursue your mission, your passions, and your other purposes in life. Now, what this does is it allows her to come towards you and initiate lovemaking more often, which I've personally found is a much better orientation of the desire and the energy in the relationship. Now, as a side note here, this doesn't mean you become completely passive and don't show her any desire. That would obviously be a huge mistake as well. Remember, the caveat here is that you want her, but you do not need her. And this stops you from being a needy, people-pleasing kind of guy and turning her off, because obviously that's not very sexy. Now, when she does show that she is up for it, you can still bring a bit of that dominant masculine energy and carry her off into your cave. The final major mistake is avoiding vulnerability. This common misstep arises from the misguided belief that showing vulnerability to a woman will make you appear weak and her less attracted to you. However, this perception couldn't be further from the truth. A man's capacity to make himself vulnerable is actually a testament to high emotional courage and authenticity. It is not a sign of weakness, but in fact an act of profound strength. When men embrace vulnerability, they grant their partners a glimpse into their true selves and their emotional world, which fosters deeper trust and emotional connection. Personally, I've watched my lover respect, admire, and worship me much more since opening myself up towards her emotionally and allowing myself to be vulnerable. The key with this is to make sure that your vulnerability is backed by other masculine qualities, such as strength, direction, integrity, and purpose. I'll have future videos covering all of those concepts in more depth, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date as I release more in-depth content about conscious masculinity. Okay, so now that we've gone through these 3 common major mistakes that men make in relationship with women, let me know in the comments if you've experienced these and what the consequences were for you in your relationship. Lastly, I want to leave you with this. Making mistakes is absolutely human, so it's important that you don't beat yourself up. Realize that making these errors is part of the path towards a more conscious masculine state. And ultimately, a woman doesn't overly care if you make mistakes so long as you're recognizing and acknowledging that you've done so and taking actions to correct your behavior in the future. Remember lads, actions always speak louder than words. So if you want to demonstrate something to the woman that you love, there is no better way than through how you show up with her on a daily basis. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this expose on some of the biggest mistakes that men make in relationships. Don't forget to click that like button, and I will see you guys in the next video.